Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why is it the morning?
Because it's morning.
Because it's actually about to be noon.
What?
May 21st, 2022. I'm Josh.
And I'm Deb.
And this is the Josh and Deb podcast. Josh and Deb cast, right? But at the same time, we're also doing a special edition of Bucket of Popcorn podcast. Because, we have a bajillion podcasts that we rarely update. But so if you've listened to it, if you're listening to this on the Josh and Deb cast, there's no need to go over to the Bucket of Popcorn podcast today. But I mean, you can still go subscribe over there.
Yeah.
Or if you're listening to this on the Bucket of Popcorn podcast, please come and check out the Josh and Deb cast.
Yep.
Wow. So today we're going to talk about a movie, Deborah. Why are we talking about this movie?
Because we just watched it.
And because you're obsessed with vampires.
Oh, yeah.
You're Deb-obsessed.
I am.
With vampires. So we watched and I'm obsessed with comic book movies.
And this is a mixture. It's a
mixture of
it's a vampire comic book
movies. So we're talking about the Jared Leto movie Morbius. And there will be spoilers. Have we got into spoilers yet? Are we going to just talk about the movie, or
we can go into spoilers because
the movie's been out long enough.
Yeah.
It's you can see it at home already. And let's just give our ratings for the people that haven't seen the movie. If you want to hear our ratings on it, Deb, what do you give the movie? Out of 10, out of a possible 10.
I give it a 6.
I give it a 5. So that rates a 5.5 for the two of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's kind of like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to listen to the podcast anymore because, we know what they rate the movie. They didn't like it. If we didn't like it, I would have given it a 0 or 1, but we give it a 5. 5.5.
Yep.
Okay, so we started watching the movie a couple of days ago, right?
Yes.
I think. I can't even tell what days are anymore.
I know. I'm just like...
This time of the year is so hectic for us. But, and we had to stop because we fell asleep right in the middle of the movie.
And it wasn't the movie put us to sleep. It wasn't that.
Right.
Well, it wasn't for my reason.
It's just because it's been so hectic for us.
Yeah.
And we don't like doing that for movies. We don't like going halfway into it and then
watching the rest later.
Yeah, I'm big into starting the movie and going all the way through.
He doesn't even like to stop for popcorn. Just wants to watch.
Or bathroom breaks or anything like that.
No.
But, so, Deborah, the movie is about a doctor that has a bloodborne disease or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on crutches because of his blood disease. And he's very frail and skinny. And I'm surprised they didn't give him glasses for him to drop his papers. Because, all these bad guys, they wear glasses and then they drop their papers and then they become bad guys.
Yeah.
But for those of you who don't know, Morbius is a anti-hero. My chair squeaked. An anti-hero, not quite like Stone Cold being a tweener in wrestling. But, I don't know.
Is he not a hero but not a bad guy?
That's what it means. He's an anti-hero.
No. In case, there's somebody who didn't know what an anti-hero was.
Kind of like the Punisher or Stone Cold. I'll go back to Stone Cold. But I'm not a big fan of what of the modern Sony Spider-Man universe, to be honest with you. And then that's what it is. He's a Spider-Man character. And as we're going to learn at the end of the movie... Oh, yeah, we're already in spoiler alerts. Spoiler alerts. There will be spoilers from this point.
Yes.
So you have been warned. That's from our Cast of the Pod podcast. Yet another podcast that we do.
Which will be coming back pretty soon.
Which is coming back soon, yeah.
So keep an ear out for that.
Jump all the way to the end credit scene when they bring in the Vulture into their universe, into the Sony universe.
It was kind of confusing. I don't know.
See, Deborah's not into all the nerd stuff like I am, where I'm disgusted with the extra scenes. And she's just a regular comic movie watching person. Why was it confusing to you, Deborah?
Because he came out of nowhere, and then he comes out.
So let me tell you this part. He came out of nowhere because of what happened in the Spider-Man No Way Home movie when Doctor Strange. Oh, spoiler alert if you hadn't seen that movie. did the spells and cracked open the universes, the multiverse, right?
So is he a vulture from another universe?
He's the Vulture from 616, which is the Marvel universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU. See, but the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is he was the Vulture over there, right?
Yeah.
But that's because they had the invasion from Avengers, where all the aliens were at,
Yeah.
and they were stealing all the alien, like, technology, right?
Right.
So that's how he made his Vulture flying suit and all that. And then he also had the Tinkerer, the scientist that made all that stuff over there, right?
Right.
And over here, he just magically appeared in a jail cell. And they have a reporter say, oh, Adrian Toomes shows up out of nowhere. And he's going to have a trial that should lead to his immediate release. And the next thing you know, he's wearing a Vulture suit, talking to Morbius, and he's like, hey, Doc, we should make a team together, a couple of guys like us, and we could do some good things.
With that voice and everything.
Just like that. He was like, hey, Doc, we should do a thing or two over here.
So,
But
okay.
Go ahead.
My confusion is...
We skipped the whole movie just to go to the end credit scene.
Yeah, because that was like... I mean, I liked
the part
movie.
You want to talk about.
I liked the movie, and then that happened, and I'm like, wait, what? So I understand that he came from... Because the universe opened, right?
Right.
But he came by himself. How did he get his suit?
That's what I'm saying. How would he have been able to make one over here without the alien technology? Because they've established that the Avengers Chitauri invasion didn't happen in this universe.
How come they couldn't just have him like drive somewhere or get dropped off or something,
and run into
Michael and be like, hey, hi,
blah, blah,
how
blah.
you doing? Let's work together. Blah blah.
And
blah.
then in time build into the suit or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think when they said that there was going to be a trial, they're building up time, saying time has gone by,
Well,
and then Michael's
said
driving.
That.
Yeah, but yeah. Okay. So let's get back to the movie. What Sony's trying to do is build to the Sinister Six movie. They're doing a Kraven the Hunter movie, which I am also even less enthused for than this Morbius movie. They have the guy from Kick-Ass, the guy that played whatchamacallit, Quicksilver.
Oh.
Yeah, he's a good actor. Oh, I will say that Morbius, Jared Leto, looked like Morbius, and there wasn't enough anything to say that he was bad at acting. So none of the actors, actresses, I say actors for everybody.
Yeah, me too.
None of the actors were bad. They did fine for this. It just, the story was kind of blah for me.
Then for me, I mean, I liked the story. I liked the movie. There was a lot of things that I was like, ooh, and then it would just drop. And I'm like, why did they do that?
Well, the funny thing is we're watching the movie and it's getting to the end. Well, before we get to the end, so there's Doctor Who. He plays Milo. He's my favorite part of the movie. Let me get his real name. I know he was a Doctor Who, but I don't know who he played. I mean his name. Matt Smith as Milo. He was the best part of the movie. He was what Deb and I both said we understand the most. Because I mean he went through all that time having the same rare, what a coincidence, rare sickness that Morbius had, that Leto had. And then as soon as he gets healed up, he's like, hey, this is my new body. Look, I got abs. I'm dancing. Let's go dance the night away.
Yeah. And it's like, you kind of understand.
That was very human.
Because, all his life, and he got bullied. And
all his life for 7 years.
All his life for 7 years.
That's an inside joke. We shouldn't make inside jokes on podcasts for people that don't know the inside joke.
But it's still funny. So, like, all his life, he was bullied, and he had to go through all that pain and having to have all the blood transfusions. And
now out of I mean, just can you imagine going from being that sick to being normal? And he went to super normal, supernatural.
Yeah.
That's gonna mess your brain up a little bit. He did his first kill, what was an accident, and it was to a good person and all that. But then they show him later on trying to hook up with the girl, and then there's some jerks that mess him up at the bar and all that. And then so he starts picking his prey.
Yeah. And I told, like I said at the bar scene, like he could have like not cared and just killed him right there in front of everybody, but he controlled it. And he was like, I'm just gonna leave, I'm gonna walk away. He even told them that until next time. He told him until next time, and he walked away and he waited for them outside.
So
where it was just the three of them against him. So I mean.
So he started looking for jerks.
And it wasn't that he was looking for him. He was talking to the girl, and they started with him.
Now Tyrese was in this movie. He was one of the cops, right? And Al Madrigal, he is he was the other cop, Agent Rodriguez. I need some water. Where's Mike at? The intern for the thing. Mike got you a water, didn't get me a water?
Yeah.
Anyways. So, I mean, I'm not against Tyrese working or anything like that, but they didn't. Well, I'm not gonna say anything.
He didn't do much.
He didn't do much, but I mean, at least Tyrese got a job there. So.
I think the other guy did more.
Well, that was one of the jokes too. He's like, "Oh, we don't want you to do anything. Like, move." That's like, an actual line in the movie.
He just like, I think the most that he said was like, zoom in.
What about Martin? Adria Arjona. Something, yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. She did fine too. Jared Harris was in the movie. I can't talk today.
It's too early.
It's too early in the morning. Too early in the 11 in the morning. But yeah, there is so not much in this movie that, yeah.
So it started off really good.
Yeah, let's get to the story of the movie. It shows a sick kid in an orphanage of sick kids. And Jared Harris plays Dr. Emil Nicholas, and he has a collection of sick kids. Well, I mean, he doesn't have a collection. He's a doctor. He's a doctor at a place.
There's a collection of sick kids.
I kept on expecting him to, because, I mean, he's kind of nefarious when you think about it. Later on, Jared Leto becomes this scientist that's trying to cure his ailment, and he's curing all these other people, but he's getting worse and getting worse, getting sicker and getting sicker. He's on crutches. Hey, I can't verify, but I hear that Leto was one of these method actors that he had to be using the crutches for real, and they were pushing him around in a wheelchair, and they said he was like a real jerk. I had to edit myself there. Allegedly.
If they had to, they didn't push him in a wheelchair in the movie.
No, but when they're filming to get him to the bathroom sooner and stuff like that.
Okay.
Method, Deborah. Method acting. That's what it's called.
Yeah, but why have to use a wheelchair when you didn't use a wheelchair in the movie?
Yeah, I don't know. Allegedly, I'm assuming. I don't know.
That's just kind of extreme.
Asterisk. I don't know if it happened or not.
But if it did, I don't understand why.
I'll tell you what, though. I will watch a Milo movie. Milo is his... Oh, so anyways, Milo comes into the sick kid collection, right? And he's there the very first day, very first few minutes, and he's on his blood machine, right? And he's like, oh, blah, 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 it's you and me against the world. And
That's not funny, but the way you said it.
And then they're in the collection of sick kids, right? And nobody's around.
And Michael's like, help.
Nothing. Nobody's monitoring or anything like that. So he goes and he pops open. This is how they show that he's smart. He pops open the blood machine, pulls out a fuse, breaks a pen in half, takes the spring out of the pen, and puts it where the fuse was at. And then it brings Matt Smith, Milo, back to life.
Yeah. And everybody's like, you saved his life.
You saved his life. And then Dr. Emil Nicholas, which is Jared Harris, he's all like, I worked for years making this machine, and in an instant, you fixed it with a spring. Yeah.
And then he wants to send them away.
Bling, Jared Leto's smart. That's what they're trying to tell you. This movie would have been great in the 90s.
Yeah.
there's so many things in this movie that they're spoon feeding you. I know they say, and allegedly, people are a lot dumber now, allegedly, and need to be spoon fed stuff. But cinema has evolved in a way. It is definitely. I didn't go into this thinking it was going to be an MCU movie, so I knew it wasn't going to be like that. It wasn't going to follow the format. But this is very much like, if this would have came out as the same time as Blade would have destroyed. Blade still destroys this movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I feel that the graphics, the look, the storytelling, the pacing is all around the same time that Blade 1 came out.
Yeah.
And this would have been like 5th place after Blade. And then 2nd place would have been Blade. 1st place would have been Blade. 2nd place would have been Blade. 3rd place would have been Blade. 4th place would have been Blade. And then this movie.
You know what I didn't like about the movie?
What?
And don't get mad. And don't get offended anybody.
Okay. I'm speaking for everybody else. Go ahead.
I hated all the bright colors that it had. Like when he was listening for, like, when Milo
he
and
got
the
bat sonar hearing.
Well, that I understand, but why did they have to have the colors? And it didn't have it, but like when Milo and the girl were on top of that building, and then it showed, and it was like you could hear the heartbeat, and it like showed the bright colors showing that they're right there. It was like basically like a video game when they show an arrow pointing.
That I didn't get it at first because Deborah, we're watching the movie and she's like, "Wow, is that the arrow?" I'm like, "The arrow for what?" I said, "That's a different universe. That's DC." And she's like, "No, the arrow pointing at the building." I was like, "Oh, like here is your next objective."
Yeah, and it kind of like all the different colors. It's nowhere close to this movie, but it kind of gave me that kind of feel. For like that one, that I can't remember which Batman it was, but it had all the different bright
the fluorescent colors of the bright, yeah.
And I didn't like
those
that.
Joel Schumacher Batman. Yeah, because literally all the buildings look exactly the same, which they filmed it in the UK. It's supposed to be New York, but they were in the UK. And on the top of this one building that happened to have a skylight that was half green and half red, all the other buildings were boring. He just put her right there, and they had the techno dance floor.
Yeah, and it was like blinking, and I was like, "Oh, look, there she is." I didn't like that. It's supposed to be this. I don't know if it's like a dark comic book or whatever, but.
Well, see, that's what sucks, because he's over in the Sonyverse. We're not going to get the Midnight Suns, which is like Blade and Ghost Rider and Morbius and Dracula and Daredevil and all that, because he's over on the Sony side. I wish that this is not. I'm not saying. I mean, if Sony was to give me a job and pay me money, I'd be like, "This is the greatest thing ever." No, but I wish Marvel would be like. Marvel, Disney, MCU, whatever, would be like, "Here's $1 billion. Just give us our shit back."
Yep.
That's what I wish. And then they could just fix it. And I know a lot of people don't like the MCU and know it's too cookie cutter, it's too whatever, blah, blah, blah. Have you ever read comics before? And now with the whole multiverse, they can have different versions of stuff. Man, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but like I was like really looking forward to watching this movie, and like I said in the beginning, it was really good. And then, like once he turned into Morbius, and then, like all of a sudden, bats have all these different colors.
You know what? That's something I'm thinking about right now, because in the end credit scene, going back to Adrian Toomes, going back to the Vulture, right? He talks about, I don't know, but it has something to do with Spider-Man, and Morbius is like, "Yes, indeed." He's not saying that, but that's a shout out to Coach Funaki over at the Hybrid School of Wrestling. Indeed. No, but he's like, yeah, which means Spider-Man that is in this universe. How come when Morbius is going around New York killing people and all that, blah 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 blah, Spider-Man didn't show up?
In fact, there was like no superhero that came out
at all. Nobody.
It was all just Morbius and the cops.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that too. I was like, because like all these people, if I were to see someone like get mad with me and then their face pop out like that, I'd be like taking off. And all these people were just like, ah. They didn't like run away.
which kind of shows that it's a superhero.
Because they're used to.
Because they're
like,
used
all
to
the
a superhero universe. I tried to say, but the thing is,
But they're used to paranormal stuff. Like,
they don't have to show the heroes, but there could have been a where's Spider-Man at, where in the news, or Dr. Octopus or something like that. You know what I mean? They could have mentioned some other hero.
Yeah, they only mentioned Spider-Man at the end.
At the end for the end credit scene, just because they're like, yeah, we got to link it for more money.
Yeah, and they only said it like at the end where nobody stays.
Whoever runs Marvel, MCU, Disney, please bring me on as a consultant. Give Sony $1 billion cash, unmarked bills, and just get whatchamacallit, Spider-Man back. Get the Spider-Verse back, because none of the movies are gonna. You remember how movies were making $1 billion left and right? You remember that, Deborah?
Yeah.
I'm talking to you. There's only two people in the room, me and you.
I was thinking.
Oh, and Doctor Strange just hit $700 million. These Spider-Man movies aren't going to hit $1 billion anymore, Sony. Just so you know, you're not going to make anything. Even when you do Into the Spider-Verse, you're not going to make $1 billion. So get the $1 billion from Disney, Marvel Disney, and just
walk away.
Yeah, just walk away.
With your head held high.
Yeah.
And the money in your pocket.
And then the evil genius of Sony that all these years have been like, we're going to make some good movies, and then we're going to make a bunch of horrible ones, and they'll give us $1 billion. Excellent. And that's what'll happen. So, I mean, was there anything? He's in a we didn't even talk about the movie. So he's sick. He goes and decides to hang out with with some scuzzy people in helicopters, and he decides, I need to capture some vampire bats. Let me do it with this magic cage. And the cage looked pretty cool. It looked like it had like razor wires or something like that.
Why did he decide on bats?
Because bats are cool.
Oh, okay.
No, but I mean, they never said anything about the cage. They never showed him in the cage. They never said, because I mean, he wouldn't have caught all the bats to bring them home it had like razor wire, and he was hiding behind it, but then the bats flew around it, and
I don't understand that.
And then
all of a sudden inside his in his lab, he had that thing with all the bats in there. I was like, how do you catch them?
Yeah.
Because when they showed him in the cave, like, all the bats flew out.
Okay, here's my biggest problem. I hadn't even told you about it.
Uh-oh.
And then we'll stop talking about the movie in a little bit. But my biggest problem with the movie. So early in the movie, he's in his tank. That all movies from the 90s had to have a tank of something. Right?
And it had a blue fluorescent light.
Yeah, and the bats were flying around him. He's like, they've embraced me as a brother. And he's standing in there, and the little bats are all like, blah, 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 flying around him, landing on his hand and looking at him and all that. Like, brother.
Giving him little pecks on his cheek.
So later on in the movie, when Milo becomes a vampire also, he's embracing his vampirism, right? Mm-hmm. Morbius, who's hanging upside down, and his ass is all kicked and everything like that, falls down into the water, and his hand's in the water, and his hand's creating these vibrations, and Milo's like, what's with these vibrations? It was so obvious that Deborah, who never predicts anything in a movie, was like, here come the bats. And like a bajillion bats from underneath New York, living in the sewers underneath New York, right? Come out of nowhere, and the little bat that was looking at him in his tank is like, hey, I'm here, blah, 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 right? So what does Morbius do? He calls all the bats around him, raises his hands up, Dragon Ball Z style, right? And brings all of them. And then Bat Dokken's he fireballs a group of bats into Milo.
And then
that's the part
Milo.
That he Bat Dokkened him. And then and the bats are holding him down so he can rush up and stab him in the heart with the vitamin D and iron booster supplement. What's her name? Martine even calls it, who's that supplement for? And he's like, I'm lifting, bro. No, so he stabs Morbius in the heart with the vitamin D iron supplement that he had got for himself to off himself. He's like, I can't drink the
blood.
the artificial blood any longer. And once that happens, I can't become like Milo. So you're gonna just let Milo run rampant without you in the world because you can't go to death row and get some people that are on death row to drink their blood? Or you can't go to the blood bank and drink some blood out of a bag? Dude, all this stuff, but I've been gifted with immortal life and strength and these badass abilities to hear stuff and sense stuff and fly. But I can't drink
in the sky.
To see buildings blinking away. And I can't accept that, so I must be gone. Shut up.
If you could learn to control it.
Well, no. I didn't even think about that until right now. You don't even need to control it. Go to the blood bank. Whose phone is going on?
Not me, because I put mine on silent.
Go to the blood bank. Go to the damn blood bank. That's all you gotta do.
Yep.
You don't have to drink anybody. You don't have to kill nobody or nothing like that.
The blood bank, it's not like it's it's not like it's not blood.
Yeah, it's still blood. And then the horrible scene. Spoiler alert. When Adria.
I just didn't call her the girl.
Martine. Her name is Martine. Martine! When she dies, right before she dies, she's like, make it worth it. And she kisses him and bites his lip. And a drop of blood falls into her mouth.
And she licks her lip.
And then she licks her lip like,
That was stupid.
And then she dies. And then he drinks her dead blood and powers up, right? Powers up.
There's like a whole bunch of light around him.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, like at the end of the movie, this is what I'm getting back to the bajillion bats, right? All the bats fly out of the cracks of the street and all that. Now there's this huge mist of bats. Bajillions and bajillions of bats. If there had been no bat droppings around the city or anything like that, but there's this giant cloud that's like a quarter the size of the city.
Yep.
And they're flying Morbius out. And then as soon as he looks at the camera and his eyes turn red, then they show her and her eyes open, dead on the blinking disco floor. And her eyes open up with the same red. And it was like, yeah, that was completely obvious.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna say I'm all for the romantic kissing at the end or whatever.
She even says that. He's like, don't worry, I wouldn't. Earlier in the movie.
Oh yeah,
he
for
says,
Dracula.
Don't worry, I wouldn't have gone full Dracula on you down there. And she's like, I find Dracula to be quite romantic. Man.
So I'm all for the romantic kissing and all that, and I'm a girl for that, but
you're a girl for that.
Yes, I'm
not a fan of that.
No,
what is
whatever.
Okay.
Because guys don't like the romantic kissing and stuff. I do. I like that, but that when she bit his lip, that was just stupid. I was like, really? I'm like that. Y'all weren't even
disco floor.
She's like all dying and she licks her lips like no, just go away with that.
Maybe she be like that, Deborah. You don't know.
That was just dumb. That was dumb. Disco she didn't have to. Or maybe it was a disco floor that made it do that. It's just like the scene around there. That was stupid.
Staying alive.
And then there was also the part where they were where he sees her in the subway, and then they go to the little coffee shop thing, and she's like, "Here, drink some coffee." He's like, "I can't drink it," and he goes, "I can't drink caffeine." She's like, "It's decaf," and then he goes to get the cup, and he's like, "Ah!"
Because the sunlight is around the cup.
And then he's like, "I'm not that kind of vampire."
I'm not that kind of vampire.
I thought that was dumb too, but it was funny. And she was like, "I just had to make sure."
Yeah, man. So
there was a bunch of.
Are you
things.
sure you still give this movie a 6?
Yeah.
I still give it a 5.
I still give it a 6 because there were some things that I did like, and then there was a lot of things I didn't.
Like I said, I don't blame any of the actors. They were all fine for what they did. So I mean, they were reading their script. They were just getting paid. But I would much rather watch a Matt Smith movie. They need to make a movie like that about a vampire that you know comes into his vampireness, and he's like, you know what? I like this. I'm gonna do this. I'm only gonna pick bad guys, and he doesn't have to be a superhero. He could just like monitor them from a distance. Doesn't have to save people or nothing like that. But just choose the assholes of the world to be the food banks.
Yeah.
Or just go to the blood bank.
And like I said,
I mean, it would be a boring movie,
him,
but I mean, you know, just
with him killing the 3 guys from the bar, you have to understand he grew up being a bully. I mean, he grew up being bullied. And
no, don't go there. Because we agreed we hate that all the villains now have this sad story. Oh, they picked on him. It's okay for him to be the Joker now. Nah. Sometimes the villains just need to be villains. They were born villains. They grew up villains. There doesn't have to be a sad story. Oh, they cut off what's-her-name's wings. She was assaulted by the night. What was it? Maleficent. No, sometimes
yes, I agree.
The villains are just saying, let the villains be villains, Deborah.
But I'm saying he controlled it in the bar. He could have just went
because he was trying to get some. Because there was a sex song on before that when he was like, "Ooh, look at me." He was dressing. He was in the Pretty Woman scene where he's like showing off his outfits and he's like, "Look at me, I got abs." He's like putting on my suit. See, that was another thing too. When they were in the subway, when they first showed that he had powers and all that, and he knocked out. He knocked out. I don't think he killed. Or yeah, it looked like he just knocked them out. The cops, and then he's dancing. He's like, "Yeah, let's do this, bro. Let's go, yeah."
The spin.
See, I tell you, Matt Smith.
Smoke around him.
Yes.
That was another thing you said you didn't like, right?
Well, because it was very, very 90s, the smoke around them and all that. And then the color of the smoke changed with their outfits.
Yeah.
Michael Morbius just happened to find a purple silk lined trench coat while he was on the run.
He had purple smoke coming around him.
Yes. But yeah, I think that's it.
And I'm all for purple. Purple's my favorite color, but that was like pretty dumb. Yeah.
So we give this movie a group average of 5.5 between Deborah and I. And yeah, that's all we got for this one. We're already 30 minutes into ourselves here.
I give it a 5 for my rating and then 1 extra point for trying.
For trying?
So I make it a 6.
Okay, Deb. Well, that's fine. Don't forget to hit up our social medias, Josh and Debcast, all one word. And there's some Bucket of Popcorn stuff, too. You can go to the websites, bucketofpopcorn.com and joshanddebcast.com, and it'll show you links to all our social media. All right, so until next time, I'm Josh.
And I'm Deb.
This has been the Josh and Debcast special edition of the Bucket of Popcorn. All right, till next time. Thank you for listening, and we'll have more. So this isn't our traditional flow or anything like that. Normally we have news stories and stuff, but today we wanted to talk about Morbius because of our amazing Morbius experience.
Yep.
All right, y'all. Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Let's go make some popcorn.